Uber just confirmed directly from their CEO, by the way, what is their quotes highest priority right now. We got info on new earnings options for you if you drive on the Uber Eats platform, and one kind of looming thing that is going to greatly affect the Uber platform. We're going to talk about all of that in this video as Uber just concluded their Q4 2024 and at large 2024 earnings call. And we learned that drivers and couriers are earning more. I mean, that's not new though. We always hear supporting drivers and earners. They're earning more. It's up X% year over year. It's up again. It's up again. Let me know down below in the comments if you feel your earnings are up again. I feel like it's just, hey, we're getting more drivers and couriers. Collectively, they call it earners. And collectively, since there's more earners, there's more earnings. Turning our attention to their customers though, one stat that I was quite surprised to see. Their Uber One monthly subscription for customers, again, that membership base increased 30 million, roughly growing 60% year over year. Really kind of tells us, well, there's more customers that are using the platform more frequently, and Uber confirmed that with the data. Those customers on the Uber One membership are placing more orders more frequently, and they're using different verticals or product types on the Uber platform. So that might mean more order volume, possibly more order choice, but is that the case when Uber says driver supply growth remains robust, with active drivers consistently using the platform are up 26% year over year, continuing to lead demand growth. So more and more customers committing and subscribing to use the Uber platform every month, but we're having arguably more and more drivers that are consistently, same thing, every single month remaining active. What do you think? Okay, but as someone who helps you make money in different side hustles, and I'm coming up on 10 years of gig work right now, coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I want to know, what is Uber and subsequently Uber Eats, what are they doing to help us make more money and give us more options, especially because I feel like competitors, especially in the delivery vertical, DoorDash, are doing more and they're being more innovative and they're just doing it faster than Uber Eats. Well, if you drive on Uber Eats as a courier, they say under their grocery and retail fulfillment enhancements, they launched a new shopper pick and pack feature in select markets, providing flexibility for earners to solely shop for orders and hand deliveries off to couriers. So as someone who does Uber Eats courier delivery work, food delivery, there's Uber Connect. They've rebranded Connect as well. That was announced in this Q4 call here. Would you like to just shop for stuff and then not have to do the delivery part? I feel like I'd want the inverse of that, like delivery only on Shipt, let's say, where someone else shops for it and I make the delivery. I don't really want the opposite, which is this, where I just shop and then I hand it off to a courier to make the delivery. I feel like the delivery is the easier parts. Now, would you like that? And how would that work? Am I gonna sign up for a, let's say, 2-4 hour, whatever it's gonna be, shopping shift? So that might be good. Someone else can use the car. I don't have to use my car if I have the car. But about that highest priority, yes, from their CEO, from Dara Khosrowshahi on this call, in the prepared remarks as well. And honestly, quite a bit of supplemental info in here, like 4 pages worth. In those prepared remarks, Dara states, of course, executing brilliantly on our AV, autonomous vehicle strategy, remains our highest priority. And I will focus on that in more detail after briefly reviewing our Q4 performance. And did they ever expand on that? Well, they said this, that Dara and the team expect AVs to be a $1 trillion plus opportunity. Look at this graph here. So this is comparing the operational price per mile versus the percent of what they're calling urban vehicle miles traveled. So frankly, just how much are these vehicles driving on the Uber platform? You have Uber XL, obviously the mobility vertical, Comfort, Uber X, and it gets cheaper and cheaper as you move to the right. And the higher it goes, the higher percent of their portfolio it's gonna be. That black line going up is their current addressable vehicle miles traveled. And as we move into that purple colorway, growth, getting to $1 a mile in cost here. So imagine how much you'd be getting paid. Let's say this is UberX, right? As a mobility driver, what do your earnings average out to? Is it hopefully more than $1 a mile, $1.50, ideally $2 to $3 plus paid out per mile? If you don't know how to track your business miles, get our earnings tracking spreadsheets linked down below. But the cheapest would be something like a shuttle. We see personal cars here, and then that's $1 trillion potential to use AVs on the Uber platform. Now, Uber says, hey, mobility, rideshare, it's volatile. One marketplace, it could be busy at certain times, which is somewhat predictable, let's say the mornings, and then after work in the evenings. But other marketplaces, it might widely vary. That's really why you have to understand your marketplace on mobility or delivery. But look here, talking about their highest priority, AVs, in their total addressable markets, this TAM here, that they're saying there are challenges. Autonomous costs currently over $2 a mile just when you consider the hardware that these cars need, the operating costs that these cars require, the fleet management costs, and you can see more details here. That alone pushes their costs over $2 a mile, at least currently. But they say autonomy will unlock meaningful TAM, or total addressable market, basically customers that they can reach when costs drop below human-driven rides. And you might be saying, well, I don't do mobility, I just do delivery, kind of the same, at least for my portfolio. Let me know if you have a preference driving rideshare or delivery. But Uber's also focusing on autonomous deliveries in Austin and several other marketplaces right now. And that's just on their prepared remarks and supplemental info. That's not even talking about the actual call, taking questions from investors. Dara Khosrowshahi, CEO, Prashant Mahendra Raja, their CFO. Listen to what they were asked on that call. Starting the call, Dara mentioned acceleration is the theme of this year. Now, with a portfolio of 37% of their customer base now being multi-product, so they may take rideshare rides, they may also order food delivery. One thing that might catch your attention though, especially if you're in, let's say, a smaller marketplace, a surrounding marketplace, a suburban marketplace, the team said they're continuing to focus on less dense geographies, and those sub-marketplaces, whatever you want to call it, are seeing 1 or 1.5 times as much growth as dense city centers. In part, that deals with incentives for drivers. So to start a new marketplace, new city, or new even secondary marketplace, if you see the demand's not quite there, or if you're in a smaller marketplace that is opening up to Uber, that might be a good time to see driver and courier incentives. And Uber said really the same thing on their last quarterly call. If you rewind even further, let's say 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the focus was almost solely on new verticals. We want to expand into grocery, retail, convenience. That's still there. The same thing with competitor DoorDash, but right now the focus and maybe opportunity seems to be those smaller geographies. If you do like shopping, we did mention that newer pick and pack feature. They did focus on the shopping vertical and really focusing on a perfect shop. So what that tells me, obviously they want to deal with all substitutions. The worst case scenario basically for shopping is you're trying to find a substitution and ultimately you can't find a substitution. So you're going to omit an item that the customer requested. Because of that, I anticipate some improvements, either UI, the organization, the shop process, something I anticipate might be coming in 2025 if you like the shop and delivers. Uber also detailed a really two-step expansion that I've seen on their Advantage versus Standard mode. You might not know what this is because it hasn't been in a lot of marketplaces, and right now it is skewed to the mobility or rideshare vertical, but as always, look for these things to possibly cross over. I'll report on that if it does. Advantage mode rewards drivers for providing reliable service to riders by accepting more trips, canceling fewer, and benefiting from Advantage mode perks. The majority of drivers who achieved Advantage mode earned 20% more per hour than drivers in Standard mode. Now, Prashant detailed they expanded this Advantage mode, and we saw a 3-market expansion in the last month or so. But just recently, just really a couple of days ago, at the time of filming this video, we see quite a list of cities getting Advantage mode right now again on the mobility vertical. When you're in Advantage mode, you'll get more exclusive ride requests. Those are the ones that are just sent to you versus Trip Radar that are sent to multiple drivers, and earn 5% more per trip, really only on UberX and other non-premium, like not Uber Black, basically not Comfort, non-premium ride types than you would in Standard mode. But kind of like the theme, I'd say, unfortunately, let me know, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? It in part hinges on your acceptance rating. An acceptance rate of 25% or more, which is technically half of the entry level of Dasher Rewards. Obviously, we're comparing mobility to delivery, but Dasher Rewards V1, that silver level, is 50%. Now, there are preferred deliveries on Uber Eats. They were going to increase that, but at least that is 30%. But just on rideshare, 25%, with a completion rate of, in essence, 92%, or a cancellation rate of 8%. My only question with this, please drop a like on the video, by the way, if you got this far, and answer this down below. My question is, 5% increase on my non-premium trips, let's say, and let's just imagine this was on Uber Eats as well. Okay, so 5% more on my deliveries. Let's just assume, okay? Is it a 5% increase, or is it really a step down, a 5% decrease on, let's say, base pay, promotional pay, whatever it is? Obviously, they can't touch tips. Is it a 5% decrease that kind of feels like a 5% increase? And lastly, let's touch on the future of Uber, at least in mobility, that AV, the autonomous plans, what cities are going to get it, and when is it coming, and how much of Uber's portfolio might be AVs. I've heard Dara mention in past quarterly earnings calls, and again, I follow all of this for you, so make sure to subscribe here, that Uber might give AV rides to ones that maybe just don't fit their human driver demographic. So I'm imagining that could be, okay, it's really inconvenient and very far, but more realistically, at least to start, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's a very, very short runs, but maybe you want some short runs if you're going for a quest or something where you want to get trip volume. But anyway, Dara mentioned that the first cities to get AVs, now right now they're piloting with partners in Arizona, but generally it's going to be kind of what makes sense here, center cities to start. The scalability of that, it's going to take about 5 years to do that, choosing center cities, and eventually really a 15-year marker, having about 10 to 15% of their portfolio being AVs. But from what I've tracked here over years, it continues to be that their main stake is the mobility and ride-sharing platform. Are they doing enough? Do you have any interest in mobility? If you do mobility, what are your thoughts on 2025? What does Uber need to do for drivers, couriers, collectively called earners?